Okay, we're going to go ahead and finish Dorian with some examples, just various random feels that you can get out of it. When I describe something, it's really going to be a personal preference, but like whether I consider something a non-harmonic tone or whether I consider an upper extension or what, this is very subjective, and you don't need to call everything a chord per se, and it depends on your outlook. So just remember, various people call various things different names, and just know the different names and don't become a slave to naming schemes. So we're going to work with Dorian to round out the what we did prior to this. If you haven't seen the prior videos, I suggest you do. So let's do. The first thing that comes to mind is this opening from Ralph Vaughan Williams' Mass. Dorian feel. Very slow, and I believe it's done in an organ and the choir comes in. I can't remember, it's been a long time, but I remembered the riff. The only thing that changes, he did use a flat 6 chord, but most of it is Dorian, okay? He did jump to that flat 6, and this is normal when using in real life music. It's normal to throw in an occasional chord that's out. So he just kind of walks between the 1, the 2, okay. Now there's where the flat 6 chord, the E flat. Now the 4, 5, 3, 4, 1, okay. So very Dorian, except for that 1 flat 6 chord, D flat. It's Dorian. So another one from Ralph Vaughan Williams is this famous riff from Lark Ascending. Okay. Interestingly enough, the violin plays on throughout the most of it through the the Dorian pentatonic, but we're not going to cover that right now. It's the chord progression underneath though is very Dorian, especially when we hit that one part where if you go and listen to it, I'm not playing it because copyright. This part right here, I'm going to shorten it. This is very, very Dorian. And the violin playing that Dorian pentatonic, which makes it really cool. Okay, so we got a 1 flat 7, a 4. Now either a 5 with a pedal point or 1 flat 7, 9. Whichever one you prefer to describe it is the best one to describe it. And look at that parallelism happening there. And then the second part goes 4, 5, 4, 5, and then back to that same sequence. I reduced it to its parallel block chord version. So Rimsky-Korsakov, Scheherazade, that opening with that violin part. So that's Dorian too. Rimsky, a Romantic era composer, started to use Dorian. So it's already been in use for a very long time, okay? The only interesting thing that he does there is that kind of a half diminished 7th sound, which would be kind of unusual for Dorian most of the time, not all the time. So something in E flat Dorian. This is actually a Stravinsky thing. He manages to make Dorian sound very uneasy with his From the Rite of Spring. And forgive my piano playing, okay, but just an E flat Dorian with an add 9. Okay, now I just consider this texture over texture when he starts moving up in these parallel fifths, because I don't want to call everything a separate chord. So E flat minor 9 with the other texture being the parallel fifths. So choose whichever one you prefer. If you want to call everything a separate chord, that's fine too. My preference is to not to, because it just looks like 2 separate parts to me. So let's go on to soundtracks. Lord of the Rings. I believe this. I'm not playing it exactly, but Dorian. Pure Dorian. 1, 7, 3, 4. That's all it is those chords, and it repeats. And so the other one I could think of, I think actually off the bat, is King Kong from James Newton Howard. This was one of the famous big melodies of the movie. And he has that pulse going. So again, we have this thing. Do I call this a E9 or a 7 or a changing tone? Well, that's up to you. So, you know, call it whichever one you see as easiest. 4. So now here have a 2. I'm reducing it to the bare minimum. You can say a 1, 9, a 4, 2, 1. If you want to call that, or you can call that movement upper voice a changing tone. Doesn't matter to me. This just came to head. This pop music, Michael Jackson, Earth Song, I believe it's called. Dorian. A flat Dorian or G sharp Dorian, whichever. Now he does use the raised third 5 in that, and that's very common to do in Dorian, but that beginning is very, very Dorian. Just 1, 4. Remember I said how common 1 and 4 in Dorian is? Well, so there we go. And a very common thing to do with Dorian mode is use the raised third 5 because it helps you get back to the 1 really easy, but that's for another topic. I thought of this same musician. I was playing through this one day. Sorry for my sloppiness. I'm a guitar player, but Dorian again, kind of F sharp Dorian, okay, or G flat, whatever you want to call it. 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Dorian 1, 2. Over this kind of a pentatonic bass line. Okay, so I mean, you get kind of a bluesy sound out of it too, which even without alteration, I won't use any chromatic notes. Very simple. Just basic triads, kind of really. Well, 1, 4, 1 flat 7, 4. Okay, and then 3, 4, 1. Okay. You could do something like with upper extensions and stuff, like a 1, 9 and 3, 2 flat 7, 1. Use that as your progression. It'll sound way different than. See, totally different sound than what we've been doing so far. Okay. So as we're seeing, Dorian has a huge range of feels. Let's do something a little mellow with 7ths chords. I'll do something like this. Just play this. Very pleasant, almost kind of plagal sound. I don't like that word plagal, but more of I'll just use slightly unfinished sound, which is sometimes a desired effect, okay? And it sounds very pleasant. We've got a 1 flat 7, a 5 flat 7, a 3 major 7th, and just walk down parallel to the 2 with a flat 7. And then back to the 1 flat 7. Okay. So now we're a far cry from the Ralph Vaughan Williams sound and the soundtrack sound. So Dorian, you get a ton of feels out of this mode, okay? Depending on the style, what you're looking for. Like the Lord of the Rings thing, that theme sounds very majestic, and it's in a minor key. It still sounds very majestic. So, and then all the examples we've been through, the Ralph Vaughan Williams thing with the Lark Ascending, very beautiful, especially with that violin line playing the Dorian pentatonic, which I'll explain in a completely different video but the backing is totally Dorian. And so hopefully this gives you a range of ideas to where you can take Dorian. And so if this seems too complex for you, you probably should watch the previous videos on Dorian, because we're working up in a cumulative fashion towards this point to where we can find uses for all the chords. So that ends the Dorian section. We'll move on to Phrygian.